What's up everybody, this is Thieves for Build. I'm Chris. I'm really excited to be back out here working on cars, and we're doing it the Thieves for Build way, meaning go rent a shop and then work outside. It's 27 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now, so that's like -4 for you Celsius people or something, maybe -3. I might be over exaggerating. Anyways, and it's really windy, so I apologize for the amount of wind that we're having. All of our stuff is blowing everywhere, but it's time to get back on the plan A. The goal for the plan A in this episode is to give it a test drive. So to do the test drive, we need to do a couple of things. First one is I only put water in the radiator system, and since it's 27 degrees out, hopefully that's not frozen, and we need to get that turning over. And to do that, we're gonna need some power to the car. So I'm gonna go grab a battery, throw that in the car, and get started and do a bunch of stuff so we can drive this car around. Stay tuned! Okay, so it turns out we did not need to replace the battery. I don't know how that one's not dead, but it's not. So what we did was we just started it up, and we're gonna let it warm up and test the radiator system and make sure that that is working, and wait for the electric fan to kick on and cool the car back down. Fingers crossed. Alright, so we started it up and we let it run for a while, and then I remembered with there being an oil leak that we're going to be low on oil. So I'm adding a quart of oil that I happen to have laying around in the backyard. And then I noticed one other thing is it is still leaking oil, but it's very minimal. It's not nearly as bad as it used to be. And the JB weld so far is holding up just fine. It's that the crack actually extended further than we thought, and I think we're going to need to remove the headers to get at that crack, but it's really minimal oil loss at this point, so I think that's good enough. So I'm just topping off the oil right now to make up for some lost oil, and I added a little bit more coolant to the cooling system, and we're going to kick it back on and let it run for a while and hopefully warm up nicely. We will see. Alright guys, we ran into a small setback. The crack in the crankcase runs much further than what I JB welded up. I did not see that, and it goes under the exhaust manifold. So when the car gained pressure, the oil pressure rose and started actually spitting out hot oil, and it was making quite a, I don't know, I just didn't like it at all. So we went ahead and shut it down. We didn't get to test the cooling system yet because it didn't get hot enough to test it out. So next steps are we're going to need to fix the crack in the crankcase, and I'm going to continue with my method of JB weld. I just need to JB weld the whole thing this time. So we're going to get the car towed to the shop because I don't want to deal with U-Haul and trailers again. Actually, it's cheaper to get it towed than it is to get a U-Haul truck and trailer. So we're going to get the car towed to the shop, and then we'll pull the exhaust manifold off and get to the crack, the rest of the crack on the crankcase. In the meantime, there's something productive we can do. We don't have an air intake system right now, so Adrian and I are going to head over to the shop as soon as we get the car picked up, and then we're going to build a cold air intake system, a ghetto one. So hang on to that. Okay guys, so what do we do? Oh, we got the car, we got the other BRZ here to the shop where we are now. That took a long time and a lot of money. Turns out that to tow it, it used to cost me 70 bucks, now it costs me 150. So, but whatever, that's all good. So the other BRZ is outside. Now this BRZ is, we need to move it kind of over to where I am, and then we'll pull in the Plan A BRZ, and that way we can jack it up and remove the headers and start working on the crankcase. So, I'm not sure if this is all the exhaust fumes or what, but somehow we thought we were going to be able to Austin Powers that car like way over there. It turned out not to happen at all, but we made room for the other car, so I'm calling that a success. I only hit the wall one time.
You hit something else already.
Oh shoot. Anyway, so we're going to hang out outside of the shop for a little bit while the exhaust fumes clear, and then we'll pull in this BRZ. What a beauty. All right. All right, we are BRZ's in, and I think the headlights even worked.
Get it, I think.
Yeah, it's really beeping at me. What does that mean? Stop! Oh, car's being crushed. Hang on, technical difficulties. Hang on. All right, okay, car was in park. Sorry, I'm not good at automatic problems. Okay, yeah, that's enough beeping. All right. Okay, guys, so on this track to getting the car running and driving as fast as we can, one of the things that we can do right now before tomorrow when I jump under there and pull the headers off is we can work on our air intake. So if you look down here, the air intake was demolished during the wreck. So normally a pipe comes into here and it mounts up here and there's this nice little air box. This is our air intake mass airflow sensor, and it goes, it clips onto here, and it needs to go inside a tube that goes to an air filter. So that's what we're gonna build here. We're gonna build something temporary, so it's gonna be a little bit ghetto. But here's the parts that I could find laying around in my basement. I got 2 extra air intakes, and I ordered this on eBay, and this is a hunk of metal that meets up with, I think, a 3-inch piece of pipe, and it's supposed to mate up with our air mass airflow sensor and actually be a direct bolt-on. So luckily I did order one of these to work on some custom parts a long time ago. So I had this laying around, and with that we should be able to make our ghetto cold air intake. But I do want to mention that when it comes to cold air intakes, that it's best to stay stock. So I don't want to get too technical, but imagine this. If you come back over here, you have a pipe and you have your cold air, you have this sitting right here, and maybe you have a pipe coming down, something like that. What happens is the engine components get very, very hot, and what you want to do is pull air from outside of the car into here, not pull air that's already been hovering around here. So this is what a lot of people call a cold air intake. It's a little straight short ram air pipe, and people think, oh, all the horsepower, cold air intake. Actually, it's not cold air intake, that's warmer air intake, and that is a negative horsepower gain. Check out Mighty Car Mods, they did a myth busting on that if you want to know more about it. But so, for most horsepower and performance, stay stock. For cheap, ghetto, temporary right now, B is for build. Okay, so thought process behind this, I just wanted to show you guys in case you're building one at home. I was looking in the engine bay and what type of space that we have, and the curve in this looked a little bit drastic. I didn't really want to point it straight down, so this is like a little bit more mild. So I kind of just like was testing this around here and kind of poking it around and pretending, okay, if it's right here, is there space? And it looks like there is. So I'm really thinking right here. So I'm grabbing my paint pen, and what I'm going to do is just keep in mind that this is going to slide in 1/4 of an inch. No, 1/2 of an inch pretty much into here. So how far do we want to cut? And I think, you know, right around here is where we want to cut. So that's our line, and we want to cut all the way around this thing. And we're not going to worry about being too exact, because as long as it all fits into this 1/2 inch thing right there, we're all good. So it's got this little strange hook right here. We're going to go ahead and cut that off as well. So it's time to grab the body saw. Okay, so we got our first step of cutting done, and we cut this little clip off. It's not the prettiest cut. And then we cut around here, also not the prettiest cut, but we used our handy dandy body saw and got that done. I actually have a pipe cutting saw at home that we will be bringing into the shop shortly, but for now, that works. One note, anytime you're working with piping that is for the air intake and it's gonna go into the engine, is you gotta sand really well. You want to sand all around your edges really thoroughly and be really careful, because you don't want any little metal burrs to fly into your engine block through your air intake. That would be very, very bad. So this is after the air filter, so it needs to all be super clean. So we're gonna take some time and sand this, but first we're gonna put our hole in it to run our air intake mass airflow sensor. Okay, so what we did was we went and test fit our little pipe in here, and we got it to a spot where we liked it. The next steps are something to pay attention to. So you want to make sure that you install the airflow sensor so the air is flowing past it in the way that it was from stock. So I remember that this plug was facing that way stock, so that means that this opening in this thing needs to be facing through the charge line. So the next thing we do is we take our little piece here that's going to do that and make sure, okay, that's not right. So it's got to be flipped around like that so that that can go on there. So, okay, now we got our piece in the right angle, and we need to put it roughly, well, I think right about there is going to be a great spot. So I'm going to grab my paint marker, and I'm going to mark off 2 spots on this pipe. This is the hole, the circle is the hole that we have to cut out to make space for the, I moved it. That's for the airflow sensor to go through. And then the square is where we don't want to cut past because it won't be covered by this thingy. So really, realistically, what we want to do is cut a little bit extra all the way around there. It took a little bit, but we got a hole in here. It's not the prettiest hole, but it's good, and we made sure it's deburred and there's nothing that will fly into our engine. And yeah, it's all clean in there. So we have our little square where we line that up, and then we have this part here that goes right on top of it. So the next thing that we need to do is attach this to this firmly. So what we're going to need for this is a CNC aluminum, and this is some sort of probably not stainless. This is probably like mild steel or some cheap steel. So what we're going to need to do is get the paint off of this. So we're going to need to remove the paint from around here so we have a metal to metal surface, and then we are going to attach these 2 things together using our favorite attaching compound, JB Weld. You can't weld aluminum to steel very easily, and we're not going to even try and do that because this is just a quick ghetto thing. So we're going to do a nice line of JB Weld all around this and weld this thing on there super good. So next step though is removing all the paint around this area where we're going to try and attach this piece to this piece. All right, well, we got our paint grinded off. We're about half def in here, but we got a nice surface to do our piece onto. So actually, yeah, it's even more grippy already. So that's how it's gonna go on here. And you can see that it's got a nice, like very, very small gap. I did just notice though, there's a little bit too much black around here. So we're gonna come in, take a little bit more of this off of here. But, and then we're gonna start mixing up our JB Weld to do a nice bead of JB Weld around there. Okay, so what we did here was we found the right placement where we wanted this so the hole lines up with the other hole, and then we test fitted it on the car one last time, said okay, yep, that's the right angle. And then I just took one of these ratcheting straps, these are like metal cable ties almost, and just threw that around here, so that's nice and solid, it's not going to go anywhere. So we got it right where we want it and it's not going to move, and then we're just going to JB Weld around this thing. So next step is to mix up our JB Weld. You guys will remember this from, gosh, only like 2 episodes ago. Equal parts. It is like freezing right now, so it's not going to come out very well. And one thing I learned in the last episode is that you definitely want to mix up more than less, because if you run out halfway through your project, it really sucks. You have to go mix more, and then it'll harden in the middle. So mix more than you think you're going to need, just in case. All right, I squirted out 2 massive blobs, and I'm going to mix these guys together. And yeah, this is really hard when it's so cold, but I've read on here before you can use it in low temperatures. We're probably at about 40, 45 in here, maybe even 50. So we're doing all right. This should be fine. When you mix this, do it slowly and try not to do too much folding of it, because that'll create air bubbles in it. We don't want air bubbles. So I kind of do a stirring motion. All right, next thing we're gonna grab our piece. And we're just gonna apply inside this crease tons of JB Weld. The idea is we need to make an airtight seal between the aluminum piece and the steel pipe. probably get a little bit tricky running under this metal band, but it shouldn't be that bad. Okay, I did a real generous application of JB Weld all the way around this thing, and then when we come back and it's dry tomorrow, we can sand this or do whatever we need to. But the most important part is we have an airtight seal with no gaps all the way around this unit. So tomorrow we can come back and, like I said, we can sand, we can clean up some of these crappy areas like that. But for tonight, that's it. We're gonna let this thing dry just like that. 15 hours before you sand and work on that type of stuff. So yeah, 15 hours from now, we'll be back here working on the car. Probably doing more JB Weld. Oh man, there's some oil leaking from the car. So tomorrow morning, I'm gonna come in here early and I'm gonna get under the car, I'm gonna pull the headers and start looking at the crankcase and probably do something very similar to what we just saw here, where I'm gonna be hopefully removing a little bit of metal. And I'm gonna bring the welder with me just in case I wanna do some MIG tack welds on the crankcase to make sure that the crack stops. But anyways, that's all stuff that we will discover more about tomorrow. So that's it for tonight. All right, guys. Well, very unfortunate, but it's snowy around here, and so I have to call this episode short. I can't get back to the shop. The front tires on the Charger are really bald, and I've been needing to get them replaced. And then I just drove like 2,500 miles on them and still didn't get them replaced. So they really need to be replaced. I can't drive in the snow. I did drive in the snow a little bit today, and I actually slid down a hill. I slid 150 feet down a hill into traffic, and luckily the oncoming traffic could tell what was going on and they stopped for me. But it was pretty sketch. So I'm done driving for the day. I have to call this a snow day, so I'm sorry this is going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. But next episode we'll be back in the shop and hopefully have a lot more stuff. I was really excited to get to that exhaust manifold, but that'll be in the next episode. So for now, it's a snow day. Thank you guys very much for watching. You can find us at bsforbuild.com. That's where you can find our shop if you want to pick up any merchandise like BS for Build key tags or hats, and we got new shirts coming. We got some more stuff on the way. That's a great way to support the channel if you want to support the channel, and I want to thank everybody that supported the channel thus far. Thank you guys very much. What else? Facebook.com/BSforBuild. Instagram, we are BSforBuild on Instagram. Check us out, follow us there, get all the up-to-date information. And thank you guys very much for watching, and thank you for liking the video and subscribing. Peace. Happy snow day.